Welcome back to the Hat-Trick Extra Time. We're now on episode 3, and as always, I'm your host Lozza, and I'm joined in our studio by tactical mastermind Jumka. You like that? It's good.
I do.
The World Cup group stages are officially in the history books, and round of 32 has now started, and what a chaotic couple of weeks it has been. Today we are tearing into England's performances, the good, the bad, and the absolute waffle. We're also doing a full review of the groups, looking at the biggest winners, the most embarrassing losers, and the statistical shocks of the tournament so far. If you have time before Jumka starts crying about Reading's upcoming season, we might even dive into the latest Premier League transfer rumours.
Okay.
But first, let's kick things off with this week's first part of our podcast. Which
keep laughing.
England's review. Yeah, I will keep laughing. God, you like that? You won't like that, but I quite like that.
Yeah. You like that?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
How you doing, Jack? Anyway, mate, you all
right? I'm good. Just having a little drink of water before you decided to slate Reading 1 minute into the podcast. Thank you for that. I'm not letting you get away with that. We could then bring up Chelsea's embarrassing transfer record so far.
Yeah, no, let's not do that.
Okay, World Cup is.
Right, so we'll start off by looking at England and their group stage performance. Now, obviously, they topped the group, which is what every fan was hoping for. Not the easy way, shall I say. We didn't pull off the greatest performances of all time, but they got the job done, which is the most important thing, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, stats-wise, it was a pretty simple affair, but if you're an England fan watching us, you'll realise that there were some speed bumps along the way. You can highlight some in Croatia in that first half, Ghana, the whole game, and Panama. Little snippets, you could probably say we were not at our flowing best.
No, absolutely. Well, we'll start off with a Croatia game anyway. So, I mean, you mentioned, that first half of Croatia game, we went in at half time at 2-2. We did go on to win 4-2, obviously, but there were points during that game, especially that first half, where it just looked horrible, didn't it? There was just no energy whatsoever on the side.
Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time talking about Croatia. I think we brought it up on our last pod, but I think it was just a few World Cup jitters, and a world-class manager like Tuchel just took them by the scruff of the neck and put them in that second half, and they came out firing, and that is easily the best we've seen from England in this World Cup so far, just in terms of quality in all phases of play. It was really good to watch. Ghana and Panama, we did not see that again. I'm hoping against Congo on Wednesday. We are recording this on Monday just after Brazil have beaten Japan 2-1 in the last minute. I'm hoping we see that second half of Croatia against Congo. I think we will, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a similar thing to especially the Ghana and Panama game, where you just have a team sitting back. Now, whether they do or Ghana didn't just sit back for pretty much all game, or whether, Panama are actually pushing on the counter attack, is a different story. I mean, like I said, we'll go back to Croatia. We'll deep dive into some of the stats quickly. It's a bit more of a test for England, obviously. Like possession-wise, we had 52% of possession, which, considering some of the games pre-World Cup, we're absolutely dominating. So it shows a big difference in a team with a bit more class who wants to attack, really take the ball off us. Whereas the Ghana game we had 79% possession, which expected, and a bit less in the Panama game at 67%. So they're still controlling that ball with possession-based thing, like we mentioned with the FA, in our first podcast. But it's what we're doing with the ball. that counts, really, isn't it? You can have a ball
Yeah,
possession in the world. If you don't score, you don't
I
score.
I think listen, a lot of people talk about the XG stat and how much it means, but I think it needs to be brought up that in the game against Ghana and Panama, our XG together still doesn't beat the XG that we got against Croatia, which
Yeah.
is a very interesting stat. It's about 1.5 against Ghana and about the same against Panama, and it was 3.2, I believe, against Croatia. And I think everyone can agree that Ghana and Panama are worse than Croatia. And I think XG it should have been higher. We've definitely taken a step down against
Yep.
these nations, but again, Croatia came out to play against us, and I think we suit that. And hopefully, Congo they've got something to play for. If they
Oh yeah,
sit,
definitely.
if they sit 11 men behind the ball, they will get knocked out. You know that they got to get a goal, and I think the knockout football in the World Cup sees teams having to play a little bit, and that gives me some hope for us in that game.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. We'll move on to shots, like shots on target now as well. So in that Croatia game, we hit 50% of our shots on target. We had 22 shots, 11 on target, which is a great number to see. We had, pretty even possession between the teams, but we were dominating on the front in the attacking wise. Croatia only had 10 shots, again 50%, 5 of them on target. So it really did show, the fact that we're getting those shots on goal. We are getting goals, especially in that second half where we changed it around. It was just a lot more interesting to see, wasn't it?
I want to just add that was those stats that you just labeled about the shots on target. That is the dream kind of situation as a fan. That's just what you want as an England fan. Sorry, it's just perfect. You're in control, and possession is lovely, but you need to back it up with some shots at goal and some proper pressure on that
Yep.
goal, and that is exactly what we did. We need to see this against Congo, just us putting our foot on their neck and pressuring their goalkeeper, who I don't know who their keeper is, but he better be tested.
He's got to be tested, regardless. We go to the Ghana game to give him shots on target. Now we had 19 shots that game, 3 were on target, which
Yeah,
is 16% conversion rate or getting them on target, which is shockingly bad. To have all that possession, 79% of possession, and to only get 3 on target across the whole game is absolutely shocking from an England point of view. Yeah,
I
you like you
uh,
mentioned before, the possession you need to back it up with something. To have
yeah,
3 shots on target for the whole game, not good enough.
we in that Ghana game we tried going around them too much, and yeah, they were playing a back 11. Hell, I joke about it, but it's true. They played
It
so
was, yeah.
defensive. They had nothing going forward. They just wanted to defend, 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 and get the point, and they succeeded. What we really lacked was just taking shots. But I want to highlight we didn't take any shots from outside the box. I don't think. And Mbappe has taken a long shot and scored. Messi scored a free
Dembele.
kick. Dembele. We've seen a lot of players have some success from outside the box because of this FIFA World Cup ball. I've read some stats that it has its stitching is different, its material is different, and it flies a little bit quicker in this heat. Now, you can joke about that, but I think it's genuinely a factor. And
Oh
I
no, I
think
agree. Yeah,
against a Ghana keeper who plays for Hearts of Oak, I presume that's in Ghana somewhere. He's 33. He, I don't know who he is, and we didn't test him. Joe, I
No.
don't know if I can swear on this podcast, but I want to swear we didn't test him. I'm not going to, but it just shows how I feel about it, mate. He had a 7.7 rating against us. Why didn't we test him from outside the box? Kane dropping deep in that false 9, little 1-2, smash one at him, and then follow it in. It was I majorly disappointed.
So I mean, looking at the shot map, we had 3 outside the box that were on target, 3 outside the box that were off target. Your majority are sitting down, inside the box. And, I think that's a big thing you mentioned is the fact that we don't just try and hit them from outside the box. We've got good enough players to do it. Just no one seems to want to do it enough. We're always trying to push closer to the goal, get in that penalty box. Someone's just got to hit one.
I'm
The
looking
likes
at
of
the
Bellingham
shot
could
map.
hit.
Yeah,
The likes of Kane can hit one. But it's just Elliot Anderson can hit one. Especially the pressure you're putting on.
Shots off target 10. Shots on target 3. 6 block
It's
shots.
poor, isn't it?
Like, if you're gonna get a shot away, get it on target against a keeper who has got no serious experience in big games. He's got no experience in big games. It's
No.
just majorly disappointing.
I mean, that game, Ghana had 2 shots. One was on target, which is insane. Which exactly shows the point that England actually dominated the game. But they got a point out of it. They barely had any possession of the ball, barely any shots, yet we barely tested them. And we need to test these goalkeepers. Like you say, against Congo, we've got to just push for it. We've got to have shots outside the box. They're going to sit men behind the ball. We know that, as fans. Now, the player's going to know that. Tuchel's going to know that. So get them hitting shots outside the box. We've got the quality for it. Let's actually see it happen, because it just doesn't happen enough.
I want to highlight also in that Ghana game. Do you know who had the most shots? Guess. He had 4 shots in the game. Guess who had the most?
I don't actually know. I want to say, someone like Saka.
Right, that says everything. No, it wasn't Saka. It was Elliot Anderson, our holding midfielder. Listen, I love him. I love Elliot Anderson, but I do not want him taking the most shots at goal against Ghana. Okay, I want. Well, like you just said, Saka, Madueke, Jordan, Rashford. I want them. Kane. I want them like shifting and shooting. And
it's got to be quality as well. They've all got the quality to do it, yet we just haven't seen it yet. No, I mean, also another interesting stat is the amount of crosses we had in that game against Ghana. 30 crosses. 30 crosses into the box.
Yeah, well, I don't know what our success rate was. I know it was rubbish.
23%,
I think.
It's probably about right. It says all, don't it? And try it for the first 10-15 minutes, but then you've got to have a plan B. It's not working. Even do one half of it, but it's not working. So then what else are we going to do to change that? Let's start shooting outside the box. Let's start making darting runs in between the lines. And it was just the same over and over again that whole game. I mean, obviously Harry Kane had that chance towards the end of the game, but you can't rely on one good chance in a game.
I think we should have played the set piece game a little bit more. Our set pieces were poor in that game, but I thought playing for free kicks and penalties could have been a tactic. The game was crying out for like a Grealish, just to drive at a player and force them to, stick a foot out. And no one had the courage to do that. It was just so much recycling of the ball. Just so much recycling. And that's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then when we move on to the Panama game, again, shots on target. We had 17 shots, 6 on target. And surprisingly, Panama had 13 shots and only 2 on target. Now that's a lot to concede against a team like Panama, to be honest with you. You know, if they're having 13 shots at our goal.
Yeah,
Obviously, off 9 off target, but still, you
I
know,
think it's the most fresh in our heads, this Panama game, because it's the most recent one. And it's interesting how we played against them. Tuchel switched it up a little bit. He when we had the ball, we had a back three, and
yeah,
O'Reilly's put himself into midfield next to Elliot Anderson, and then Bellingham pushed up. So in transition, when we did lose it, which we were pretty poor, by the way, in possession, I thought we needed a
very
little bit
poor.
more quality. As soon as they won it, they were dangerous, dude, and especially down the wings. They recognised that we were playing a back three in
Yep.
possession. Of course, out of possession, we had the back four, but in possession with the back three, they just went down the sides and drove with pace. Caused us a few problems, and Pickford had to.
Well, I mean, they scored, didn't they, as well?
Yeah,
Obviously, it was offside, but you
Pickford
know,
had an 8.0 rating and made 2 saves. I do not want Pickford being my second or third best player in a game against Panama. I
no,
want him having a 5 out of 10 rating, having nothing to do, and having, getting his picnic chair out on that line, having a cup of tea and reading his newspaper. That's what I want.
that's brilliant. But that is exactly the way it should be. It's just not, but not good enough. Defensively, we were poor that game, and we
But
were very open
but
on the counter.
but we got a clean sheet.
We did
Numbers
get a clean
matter.
sheet. We won the game. We got the 3 points. That's all that matters. Regardless who we played, great or not great, it's the points that matter, the win that matters.
We've got
You
high
know,
standards, don't we, for this England team? I think this is the best England team I've seen in my life so far in terms of the togetherness and the chemistry they all have together. Manager, I've got high standards for this team, and
yeah. I mean, we've got so much quality in that team,
so
but they just need to
I,
come together
I
and
feel
actually
bad
sort it
about
out.
slating them so much for getting a clean sheet and winning 2-0, but I want more, and I think we can provide more. And that second half against Croatia has proved that, and
Yeah, it
we need
shows
to.
we've got
Yeah.
it. It just isn't happening.
Mm.
You know, um, I mean, we both coach, or you do at the moment, and you know that like you can only do so much as a manager. And I mean, Tuchel was very animated in that Panama
Mm.
game. You could see him on the sideline. But it's down to the players to make that performance on the pitch. They did against Croatia. But some at half time, they come out and, I think they shocked most England fans, I'll be honest, with their performance. It was one of the best performances I've seen for England in a long
It's the,
time, I think.
it's
That
the first
last
time
time
I've
back.
it's the first time I've ever been openly like joyful and happy after an England game in
And
a
excited to watch
very
it.
long time. Very long
Yep.
time. Like after the Ghana game, disappointed. After the Panama game, I was happy but relieved,
You're happy you
maybe.
got the win. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's the right word, relief, because
but
we didn't win. We don't top the group. We
had
had to
we
win that game.
won 5-0, 6-0, and completely been on top of them with our foot on the net, having 15 shots on target, and them being on life support for the whole game, I would have been happy. But it wasn't
No,
like that, was
I
it?
can agree more. No, it wasn't. It was a painful watch for that first half and bit. And when we got the goals, it eased up a bit. But even still, then they were on us like anything. But we topped the group. We got Congo next, so we'll have to wait and see what comes of that now.
I'll tell you what,
Obviously,
do you want
Wednesday
to
at 5
talk
o'clock.
about Congo a little bit? Um, in their
More
group,
than happy to speak about
well,
Congo.
that's
Go on.
just the next stage. Just a quick little note. They got 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss in their group with Portugal, Colombia, and Uzbekistan. They've scored 4 goals. They've conceded 3, and they were the best
Yep.
third place team at the World Cup. Um, what are your
You've
thoughts
got to
on
be
them? Have
careful,
you?
England.
Okay,
Like, I think if Congo go out and play like we did against Panama, England have got to be careful. And I mentioned obviously Panama got a goal, and they had chances to score, good chances to score, where a quality side is going to put them away. Now,
with
I do think, and I mean, they haven't got the best team, obviously, but finishing as a best third place team says a lot, doesn't it? Really,
they have got some good
for
players.
them.
I'll highlight some now. They've got Masuaku, ex
Yep,
West Ham, left back who's aging a little bit but got experience. Twanzebe, ex Manchester United, young.
yep,
He's actually getting on a little bit. He's 28 now. Mbemba, you remember him? Chancel Mbemba used to play for
yeah. I
Newcastle.
remember that. Yeah,
You got Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right
uh,
back. So they're
got
back
Vissa
four. Yeah,
as
so in
well
the midfield,
up
they
top.
don't really have many big names, but up top, they've got two, namely strikers, and Johan Wissa, who is their best performer in this World Cup with 3 goals. And they have got Bakambu, who is a La Liga striker, 35 now, so he's getting on a little bit, but he's got some longevity to him. They have got quality in both of the most important areas of the pitch, up top and at the back.
No doubt about it.
Yeah,
And I
I
think,
think we got to be careful.
I mean, they got a draw against Portugal. Now, Portugal have done pretty well, so far this tournament. Um, but to get a draw against Portugal is massive.
They
And I
nullified
do,
Portugal.
yep.
Go on, finish your point, and then I'll talk about that
Yeah,
match
no,
against
I'm
Portugal.
just, I'm going on to point about England. You've got to be careful. They've got some, decent players who've had experience, some at big stages or in the Prem at the moment and some of the biggest leagues around the world. And I really do think England have got to be careful. If we play like we did against Panama, someone like Vissa will get a goal against us.
He
He's
scored against
quick. He will
Portugal.
exploit. Yeah, he's the one who got the goal against Portugal, and he will exploit the areas that we need to be careful of. That we were open against Panama.
Mate, against Portugal, right? Who people have said they've got the best midfield in the World Cup. Portugal had 75% of the ball, and do you know how
Yep.
many shots they had against Congo?
Well, it's something like 7 and one
They
on
only
target or
they
something. Is their only
only
goal?
had they only had 7 shots indeed. Yeah, they only got 1 shot on target, and that was their goal.
Yep.
They had lower XG than Congo. I looking at
Congo
these
had 8
stats here.
shots.
Yeah,
Congo actually
exactly.
had more shots than Portugal, and they had
Listen,
25% possession.
we've got to be careful. We've got to be careful. If we perform like we did against Panama and Ghana, we can get knocked out. But if we play
Really good.
against Congo like we did in the second half against Croatia, we can wipe the
But
floor
they
with
got
them.
no chance.
What side are we going to see of England?
We need them to come out and just shine. That's going to be the biggest thing. And if they don't, that's when we're going to worry. Really, we need to come out and, like you say, play like we did against that's in that second half against Croatia. There's no doubt about it. We can't go into this thinking, it's going to be an easy game. I think that's what probably they did against Panama. They knew they were qualified, needed to get that win just to, grasp it as such. And I think it was just, they need to go in this with a fresh mindset. They can get knocked out now if they don't get a result here. They really need to be careful going into this. But hey, we'll wait till Wednesday. We're stressing till Wednesday.
We will.
Yeah. Although 60 years of hurt, it could continue if Congo come out against us and play well.
Yep.
I don't want another 4 years to have to wait, I tell you. God, someone save me. Right. So that's kind of our England review of the group stage. We're going to move on to the Pub Pundit Award now. which
For new listeners, Joe, can you describe what the Pub Pundit Award is?
yes, I'll explain what the Pub Pundit Award is, of course. So it's a section of our podcast we do. We're going to do it, potentially weekly. And all it is, we pick out a comment made by a fan, but we've seen on social media. Potentially, we'll look at even stuff like managers, which I'm going to dive into for my Pub Pundit Award this week. And it's just the most bizarre comments you'll find. And this week, I'm going out with my Pub Pundit Award.
By the way, before you do it, you
Go for
haven't
it.
told me this, and I can't wait to hear what you've put. Go on.
I haven't told you it's not. I haven't. So I'm going to class this as a Pub Pundit Award, the manager edition. Okay. So as I said, we usually give us a fan on social media who's probably had a few too many pints, we'd say. But this week I'm actually going to give it to an international manager for his post-match analysis. Okay. So we mentioned how England's 0-0 draw with Ghana. And in the 79th minute, Konza lunged into the box and caught Kwabena Adu right in the knee, basically making no contact with the ball. It looked like a penalty, but referee waved it away, and there wasn't even a VAR check. Now, when the press asked the Ghana coach, Carlo Queiroz, for his tactical thoughts on the refereeing disaster, he didn't give a breakdown. All he did was lean into the microphone and said, VAR went for a coffee. Now, that is class. I love it, because do you know how many times across the season, especially Premier League last season, where you some of the decisions they make, you're like, oh, VAR even there? Or they look at the screen, they're ordering their Domino's, whatever. So for him to come out in a press conference and say VAR went for a coffee is absolutely brilliant. It's like, Carlo, you're managing at the World Cup, but your post-match interview sounds exactly like a bloke named Terry complaining at the bar. So yeah, well done, mate. You're this week's Pub Pundit Award winner.
Mate, Carlos Queiroz, I want to give you a little background on him. He's managed Egypt, Colombia, Iran, Portugal, and namely Real Madrid. And here we have Lozza calling him a pub pundit.
Yes, man. It's just brilliant. Like it sums up, especially as like a Premier League follower and stuff like that, and the amount of issues we had, and everyone slates VAR and whatever else, and for him just to come out in the World Cup to kind of end the season off, it's just like VAR went for a coffee, and it's like that's what a lot of people said all along. I've said it loads of times that they're just ordering their food, when there's a VAR decision. So for him to come out with that is absolutely class. Those 5 words say a lot.
Do you think he's going to get in a bit of trouble for that?
Nah, he won't get into trouble with it. I don't think, but
yeah. But what about Mourinho when he said that he said something really bad and got in trouble, fined it, and then when reporters asked him again, he's like, "If I speak, I'm in big trouble." And man, like I think
he
he's in a
might.
bit of trouble.
You never know. Yeah, they might rage, because maybe that's what actually happens. I don't know. Maybe they did just pop out for a coffee during that time. That's why there wasn't a VAR check. I'm not complaining as an England fan, but you never know.
Do you know what? At initial glance, it looked like it looked penalty. It looked like a possible penalty.
It did look like a possible penalty.
For VAR to wave it away, there must be something that I'm not missing. I didn't look at it in depth, but Konza, it looked to have scissored the guy with both his legs. It looked like he went from behind him, got both legs around him, and got no contact on the ball. I thought it was quite interesting. Maybe he's playing the ball. Maybe I can't tell you, but
no,
I can see where Carlos Queiroz is coming from.
I can too, massively.
I can see where
and
he's
hence
coming
why
from.
I would say stuff like that. So
yes,
I've got to give him a Pub Pundit Award. in this
I can agree
on
with
this
that. I like that.
podcast
I like
episode.
that, Loz. I like that, mate. I respect it. Good one.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed looking at that. Okay, right, cool. So there's our Pub Pundit Award. If you've got any, bizarre comments you find that you want to drop down in the comments, please do. We'd love to hear them. We're going to move on now to a review of group stages as a whole, not just England. We're going to talk about kind of the biggest winners, losers, and some of the biggest shocks in those group stages. So we'll start off with the biggest winners. Jack, you want to hit off with your biggest winner of the group stage?
Right. So opinion wise, we wanted to go for our, in our opinion, the biggest kind of winner of the group stage, not by pure numbers, um, but just who we thought knocked it out of the park. And in my opinion, I think I'm gonna go with a boring answer here. I'm gonna go with France. Um, I There was some murmurs that France weren't gonna perform or they would choke a little bit, but the fact that they've come out flying the way they have, and they don't look phased at all. They look totally and utterly ready, and I think Ousmane Dembele is the big story for me. I think Mbappe was going to be the scapegoat for them, the main leader,
Yep.
scoring all the goals. But for Ousmane Dembele to come to his third World Cup, I might be wrong, but he hasn't scored in a previous World Cup, and then he turns up and scores a hat trick, in his second game of the
Very
World
good
Cup.
hat trick as well.
It was a world class hat trick. And then he scored in the next game. He's on 4 World Cup goals, I think, now. And France are cooking. And I think they are a serious contender, if they weren't already now, to completely wipe everyone away. Their defence looks good. Elise hasn't scored yet. I'm a Reading fan. I'm a fan of Elise, and I'm a fan that he's
Don't we know
possibly
it?
possibly going to be nominated for the Ballon d'Or. He has yet to score, and every time he shoots and the keeper saves it or it gets blocked, he is writhing with anger because he knows he deserves a goal. Mbappe as well, on fire as well. That shot from outside the box with this new ball that we mentioned earlier. He's clever, and they've scored 10 goals, conceded 2. Almost perfection.
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely couldn't agree more. Right, so I'm going to move on to my biggest win of a group stage. Now, it probably comes as to a surprise for quite a few people. Now, my biggest winner, I'm going to put Mexico, okay, who obviously a co-host to the World Cup. Now, we talk about, like, obviously, Jumka just mentioned France. We've got Argentina as well in there. Teams like that who are expected to perform, who should top their group stages, shouldn't have really any trouble. Even throw Spain in there. I know they did, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But Mexico were one team that surprised me. Now they played 3 games. They won 3 games. They got 9 points out of nine. They haven't conceded a single goal in the World Cup yet. They've scored 6, and they look brilliant. They've got Ecuador in around the 32 now, which I think they'll win quite easily. You've got some Prem players in there. Raul Jimenez is one of them. And you dive into their statistics as well. Obviously, the South Africa game, it's probably going to be known for quite a while as one of the most crazy first games in the World Cup. Always red cards. But regardless of Mexico, 61% possession, 16 shots against South Africa to South Africa's 3. They kind of fully deserved the win. Move on to Korea. They won 1-0 against Korea. Again, 61% possession. Sorry, my bad. 42% possession. 8 shots, 4 on target. Got the important goal. Another win. Then, against Czech Republic, 48% possession again. So they haven't necessarily had most possession, but they're getting their shots away. 11 shots, 5 on target, compared to Czech's 13 shots on target, 13 shots, sorry, and 1 on target. Now, for me, I think that, they comfortably beat South Korea 2-0, got the win against South Korea, and obviously a 3-0 win against Czech Republic said a lot. They're going against Ecuador, which is going to be a tough game, but I do think that, for them being a host, not doing well at other tournaments, they're one of the big winners for me in the group stage. Right. And then we're going to look at next out, kind of the biggest losers in the group stage. So Jack, who's your biggest loser for group stage?
Again, opinion based, not statistically. I'm gonna go with Uruguay. They of course came third in the group. They're a big nation. They're big. They for the first World Cup ever, they're the nation to have won it. They got a lot of history, and they have flattered to deceive, deceive to flatter, flatter to deceive. They've been awful. Don't know what the term is. They've been awful. Bielsa in charge. He's disappointed for being such a renowned coach. Big name players haven't turned up. Valverde, he hasn't done anything this World Cup. Got substituted in their last game to try and find a winner. Surely you keep him on. Nunez, famed for being a bottler, and he's bottled again. Ugarte,
Yep.
Man United midfielder, got injured again. Hasn't really took any games by the scruff of the neck. Bentancur, Spurs, known bottler.
About right for Spurs player.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, Bentancur might not be a bottler, but Spurs certainly are. He's bottled for Uruguay. And Uruguay's best player, I've put this down as on my notes, was their left back. A left back being their best player. He plays for Sporting, their left back, and he's quite young. He's had a really good season for Sporting, had some good games in the Champions League, and he has been Uruguay's best scorer and best assister. And I think that says everything for how disappointing Uruguay have been. They're a nation. They've got a red card in the competition as well. They haven't been good up top. They've been bad defensively. They've majorly disappointed me.
Yep, couldn't agree more. I mean, in the group with, it was Spain, Saudi Arabia, Cape Verde. You kind of, funny, you expect them to finish second, out of those teams, and to finish third, only on goal difference as well, by the way, is shocking.
In the third place table, I'll highlight as well, they're bottom of the third place table. They're below Scotland. They're below Iran. They're below South Korea. They've had an absolute generational stinker. I'm disappointed.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Right, I'm gonna move on to my biggest loser. Now I know this is probably harsh, but I've gone with Haiti. They had probably the hardest group. Brazil, Morocco, Scotland. Unfortunately for them, they finished with no points. Obviously scored against Morocco 2 goals, which was surprising. But still finished on -6 goal difference, and for them it was just a tournament to forget, one of their first tournaments, and they were just non-existent in no game. I'm not even fun. Even Scotland beating 1-0, that says a lot. You're losing to Scotland. But yeah, they just got put in a group of death. Bless them. Conceded 8 goals across the 3 games, and yeah, it was just one of those things. And they are the biggest loser. Conceding 8 goals in 3 games is massive.
I want to
No.
put a shout out. Have you got anything else to say about them? Because I want to give a little another shout to someone as well.
Yeah, go on, go for it.
Panama. This is going off stats. Panama. We play against them. We saw they had a little bit of something about them, but this has been the worst World Cup performance in my eyes, along with Uruguay. They didn't score a goal. They conceded 4. They lost all of their games. They have they didn't have a bad group. Ghana, they could have got a result against. Croatia, they could have put 11 men behind the ball, and we dispatched them pretty fairly easily enough. Panama are down there as well for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna mention a few more. I won't dive into them, but that's Uzbekistan.
Scotland.
Well, Scotland as well, yeah. We all knew they were going home anyway after group stage, but we'll carry on. Uzbekistan, finished, rock bottom again, lost all 3, -9 goal difference.
Oh,
which is poor, really. I think another big loser, I kind of looked up but didn't mention, but I think Turkey in Group D. Now, they were favourites to win the group before the World Cup, yet they finished bottom. Obviously, they beat the USA in their last game 3-2, but they struggle against Australia and Paraguay, and I think that's the biggest problem is, all of that. They were favourites, yet they finished bottom, and they didn't, perform to the standards that they needed to. I think, some of the teams, again, Tunisia, they finished with -10 goal difference, lost all 3. So, take your pick out of all of them, really, your biggest losers. But, if you're watching this and listening, drop in the comments, your biggest loser, who you think, suffered the most in this World Cup. It'd be interesting to know because there's quite a few winners, but in terms of losers, everyone has their different opinions, and it'd be interesting to see what your input is to that as well. And then we'll move on now to the biggest shock for the tournaments. That's a game, the actual team. So Jack, you wanna come into it with yours?
I'm gonna go. I'm not sure if any of the listeners have seen, but we put out some predictors, World Cup predictors, at the start of the
Yes,
World
on TikTok.
Cup. Yeah, and I predicted that the USA would get grouped at their own home World Cup. I thought they didn't have a lot going for them. I thought, Poch had a lot to prove, and they've shocked me. They have come top of their group. They've scored 8 goals this World Cup. Now, listen, they've paid a lot to the FIFA and they got a nice easy group, but listen, it stinks of corruption in my opinion. But they did the job. And if corruption is nothing to do with it, then they've done a good job. They scored 8 goals. And Pochettino, I think, is a big talking point for them as well.
Yep.
Ex-Tottenham coach, ex-Spurs coach, ex-Chelsea coach, ex-PSG coach. He's got a portfolio behind him, and he's proven it. He's quite a good coach. And Balogun, I think Arsenal. Yes, they've got some impressive players, and they have shocked me.
Couldn't agree more. I think I had them down finish second in the group behind Turkey. But yeah, to come out winners of a group and impressively well, I have to agree. Now my biggest shock, I think for a lot of people will be Cape Verde. Now, again, Jack mentioned as one of the biggest losers, Uruguay, and even Saudi Arabia. You're expecting Cape Verde to finish bottom. Let's be honest. First World Cup, they come into it, get a 0-0 draw with Spain. Now that was one of the biggest shocks on its own, and somehow they pulled it off was absolutely insane. Their goalkeeper Vizinha, I believe he's 40 years old, and he's just putting off save after save, something ridiculous, just to keep it, keep Spain out the back of a net. And then after that, they just went and faced Uruguay. Again, team you expect to beat them, drew 2-2. And then obviously top it off, they finished Saudi Arabia, and absolute fair play to them because they deserve to be in this round of 32. One of the smallest nations in the World Cup, their first World Cup, and they are unbeaten, which is just absolutely insane. Can't really fault them whatsoever, and I think this is what I love about the World Cup. These little teams that come into the World Cup, especially now it's expanded, you're going to see a few more of them now. And the pure joy on their face when they found out Spain beat Uruguay and that meant they qualified was just one of them. Yeah, it's just a heartwarming moment.
Mate,
It was just so nice to see.
I didn't know they were.
Yeah, they drew all their games. Yeah,
mate, even Saudi Arabia, who beat Argentina in the last World Cup, they
yep.
Mate,
another big shock. Yeah,
fair play, Cape Verde, fair play.
Yep. Yeah, and just the joy of fans you see in the stadium, and they haven't won, but they pulled out 3 points, 3 draws, and it's just absolutely class. So they're my biggest shocks of the tournament. And it's just so nice to see a small team actually progress and do really well. Not so right, let's move to the next part of our podcast, which is our other comical bit as such, VAR From The Truth. I obviously mentioned to new listeners what our Pub Pundit Award is, and VAR From The Truth is simply a VAR call from across the World Cup. That's been given, and we just make a ridiculous conspiracy from it. Now, VAR From The Truth this week, when we're going to look at the officiating in Brazil's 3-0 win over Scotland in Miami, because I think some of them have got some explaining to do, of course, as VAR. Now, if you watch the game, you saw Vinicius Jr. steal the ball right off Jack Hendry's toes in the 22nd minute and slot a beautiful finish into the far corner. The VAR booth sent the referee to the monitor and they actually ruled the goal out. Vinicius committed a foul on Hendry in the build-up. Brazilian FA were actually furious about this because it's such sort of contact. And I believe they actually wrote a formal letter of complaint to FIFA regarding it as well. But to say Vinicius Jr. committed a foul is a complete VAR From The Truth. Now, I've reviewed the footage. Vinicius barely breathed on him. The real reason the goal was disallowed? The VAR officials just felt incredibly sorry for Scotland. They looked at the monitor, saw the Scottish fans already holding back tears at 1-0 down in the 22nd minute, and the head official said, "Look, lads, They've travelled all the way to Miami. If we give this, they are 2-0 down before half time and the floodgates are wide open. Let's do them a solid and pretend there was a foul just to give them a bit of hope. And as an England fan, it's, to actually, I don't know the word to use, but just drop Scotland is brilliant.
I was watching that game and I remember seeing it happen. And
Yep.
Scotland were really, really poor playing out from the back. And there were two Scotland commentators on the game, and one of them admitted after watching the replay a few times that he didn't think it was a foul.
It's probably that one.
It's interesting, isn't it? And I'm reading some comments now. Everyone doesn't think it was a foul.
Nope.
Yeah, interesting.
But that is my VAR From The Truth for this week. Just a ridiculous thing. Just I call it the pity foul edition. They felt so sorry for Scotland. They're going out anyway. They made all this effort to travel, and they just felt so sorry for Scotland. I don't, though, on the other hand. So, any Scottish fans, I'm sorry, but
Mate, honestly,
England
if we'd have been
to the core.
knocked out of the World Cup, they would be laughing at us. So, honestly,
Have some.
yeah, have some of that.
Oh man, we're enjoying it. Right, let's move on then. Please comment your VAR From The Truth as well. If there's any VAR calls from the week that or the World Cup that you've seen and just want to make a conspiracy about, please drop them in there. Any good ones we get on our TikTok page and spread the word. Right, we're going to actually go away from World Cup and just briefly look at Premier League transfers. Obviously, once the World Cup's done, it won't be long till the new season starts. And we obviously, looking at some of the biggest transfers that are going to happen or have happened already. Whereas teams are strengthening or not strengthening as such. And I think what way to kind of kick in the Premier League into our podcast by looking at these transfers now. So we're going to go to Jack on this because I know he's done his research in our tactical mastermind. So what are we going to start with first?
Well, I just like to point out that we're a month into, we're halfway through the transfer window. It finishes. Oh no, we're not. No, we're not. Hang on. We have got. I think we are the first third through the transfer window. I think it's June, July, and August. So the first third, we haven't seen that many bid deals. We've seen one bid deal that we'll talk about at the end. But the first one I want to talk about is Van Hetter to Spurs. I've looked up the details of this transfer and it's very interesting because Van Hetter to Spurs, he's been bought for £52 million. And the most interesting thing about it is that he was on the last year of his contract at Brighton. His contract was expiring in June 2027, right, which is next year, last year of his contract. You'd expect for a player of Van Hetter's quality to have a reduced transfer fee because he's in his last year. £52 million for a centre-half who's had a good season, I'll be honest. He's good playing out from the back, good from set pieces, but he's not all of that. And for being in the last year of his contract, I'd expect 20 to 30 million pounds, 40 at a major push. But Brighton have had Spurs' pants down and got 52 million pounds out of them. I think Daniel Levy.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Daniel Levy would never have done that. With this player having a year left on his contract. Listen, it's a good transfer, but financially, I think Spurs have had their pants down.
Do you think? Obviously, he played under De Zerbi at Brighton. Do you think that's a big say in it? Why they paid that?
no doubt in my mind. I think De Zerbi said he wanted Van Hecker, and that's his first name on the list. That's Spurs' his first transfer. They've done a few contract deals with their own players, chips and people tied down, but I think he named Van Hecker as a player, and they wanted to pay anything for him. And I think Brighton took advantage of that, honestly. And I think a fair play to Brighton, fair play, because their
Well, a good one there,
dealings
52 mil.
profit. I guarantee they didn't buy him for more than that. So they've made some major profit out of him.
Yeah, and while we're on top match, I want to mention some of their free transfers that they've got. Now they snapped up Martin Dubravka, obviously as a secondary keeper. I don't think he's going to start, is he? I think one of the biggest ones is Andy Robertson. Now, I don't know about you, but I did not see that happening.
I didn't see that happening. Spurs, I don't. I don't know. It's such a hard one. I don't know who their left back is. Udodi. He's got a few injury problems, but is fit now. I think he's going to rotate him. He's going to be he's going to help him, mentor him. Spurs' style of play, kind of transition play, counter attacking, might suit Robertson, but he isn't going to see a lot of game time. I don't think. Barring any injuries, I think he's just going to be a good figure in that dressing room.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just that experience here, winning leagues and stuff like that. You can't really, fault him for going someone like, especially a free transfer. To be fair to him,
I bet Spurs have paid him a lot.
Probably, but it's a big transfer for them, isn't it? Really,
big name.
It is a big name, and they'd be pleased to have someone on board with them. I'll be honest with that. Anyway, back off Tottenham. Who's our next one? We're gonna talk about.
I want to highlight Victor Munoz to Liverpool for £34 million. Spanish left winger played, shall I say, for Osasuna.
Yep.
I've looked Victor Munoz up a little bit. He's had an okay season for being a young, I think 20 years old. He's got 12 goals and assists in 36 games in La Liga and all the cup competitions they played. It would have been Spanish cup competitions because they aren't in Europe.
Yep.
He is ex-Real Madrid Academy. I've looked up the games in which he's contributed in with goals and assists, and they were all small games, whether it be small Spanish teams in the League Cup or lowly Spanish teams in the league. That's where he's delivered. Fair enough, delivering is good, but I'd quite like to see, if you're going to pay 34 million for a winger, him to maybe get a few goals against the Madrids of this world or Barcelona's of this world. Something that I highlighted is that Gakpo currently plays on the left for Liverpool. Cody Gakpo, who is probably going to be starting.
I was just going to ask you that, if you think he'd start over someone like Gakpo.
No, but something also related to that, he's Spanish, and who is their new manager, Lozza?
Mr. Spanish.
Case, what'd you say?
That's Mr. Spanish, isn't it?
Mind blank.
Mr. Spanish is Iraola, who used to manage Bournemouth.
That is the biggest mind blank ever.
Yeah, ball knowledge, mate. Iraola, who I think suits Liverpool really, really well with his managerial style, transition, counter-attacking football, which we know is Liverpool. I think there's going to be a relationship there with the Spanish left winger. I don't think Liverpool have that many Spanish players, so I thought Iraola wanted to get some potential friends and a little young player for him to get his wings around. I thought that's an interesting transfer for Liverpool and Iraola individually.
Yeah, I mean it's for them. I suppose it's number two. you say, he's not going to start, is he?
Understudy.
He's someone who can grow into a team.
A little apprentice, I think.
Yeah, he obviously sees something in him, obviously he's getting assists and stuff, so he's getting there. It's just got to be against bigger teams, and it's a great starting point.
Also, I think
like Liverpool.
Chiesa plays out on that left as well, and in the middle and on the right. I'm worried for Chiesa. I can see him leaving.
He might go, yeah.
Yeah,
Agree
back to
more.
Italy,
I think he might go. Yes. Right. Who's the next one then?
Well,
go on, Kate. So you got any transfers?
I do. I don't know if it's confirmed, but I saw on thing that this isn't the English like Premier League one. It's Liga. Barcelona wanted Harry Kane.
Oh,
Have set sights for Harry Kane. I saw this on by Sky Sports earlier. Well, I don't know what your lot's thoughts are on that, since he's doing very good at Bayern Munich. I think it's not a bad club for him to go to, but with his current form at Bayern Munich, I think if he did get the offer, he might reject.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
It would, because they lost what's his name, Robert Lewandowski, didn't they?
he's just gone to Chicago Fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they need a new striker, but I don't think Harry Kane will go.
They like their old strikers, and do you know what? It'd be an interesting. I think, man, do you know what? Thinking about this now, Anthony Gordon on the left, that we'll bring up in a second. Harry Kane down the middle. Very interesting. And Rashford, ex-Rashford, maybe they'll go back in for Rashford. An English front three for Barcelona.
Imagine. I mean, I don't think they're going for Rashford though now. I think that's kind of done now, isn't it? Really, miss a chance of him. But that would be very interesting.
Yeah,
you can't blame Barcelona, like you said, for putting in interest the way he's playing.
Yeah, I think Kane's going to get a new contract at Bayern. I think maybe he's trying to spice up the talks in the transfer market to get him some more money, maybe.
I think he'll definitely stay, because I think he's on something like nearly around 50 goals this season. So
it's outrageous, isn't it?
For him to leave a club that's paying that now to go to one of them teams is I don't really see it happening. But
the rumours are there.
He had a year left on his contract with Bayern. He's on a new deal to extend his stay at Bayern, but he left on the deal. Who knows? I think he's out, and
is it just me, or is Joe really laggy?
Yeah, Joe, you're really roboty here, mate. You're really roboty.
Giving Peter Crouch vibes.
Great, nice guy.
Oh my god! Let me know if you get that in the comments below, Casey. I love that. Peter Crouch with the robot.
He can't fold that, mate.
That's brilliant. I'm gonna bring up Cucurella to Real Madrid. I'll just say a quick note. Good signing for Madrid. Just a quick little note for the Chelsea fan in here. 2 Chelsea fans in here. You're now stuck with Gerald Hatter out on the left. Poor Cucurella. Well, in fact, mate, Cucurella's openly said in an interview that he wants to win Champions Leagues. So he's gone.
We ain't gonna win Champions League there, mate. It's all right.
We ain't gonna win it at Chelsea, is he?
Well, I mean, he says he wants to win Champions League, but the last 2 seasons, Real Madrid ain't won a Champions League, so...
well, Chelsea aren't in the Champions League, so he's upgraded himself.
Okay. Can we not talk about Europe at all, please?
Okay, look, I mean...
It's a bad word of this podcast.
Jack, wait. Okay. Can't really be talking, by the way, Jack. Sport Reading, they've never even made it into the Champions League.
Amen. We could go into Reading transfers, mate. We signed a brilliant Peterborough.
Yeah, but no one wants to know about that dodgy team, man.
Yeah, you're right. People don't really want to know about that.
But no, I mean, even as a Chelsea fan, I mean, Cucurella wanted to go back to Spain anyway, and it's probably
Yeah.
a good time for him to do it. At least Xabi Alonso can get someone fresh. He wanted him to stay there. He didn't. So be it. So just kind of have to go with the flow as such.
Look, I got a transfer as well after Jack's done with this one.
Now go on. We're done now.
There you go, mate.
Granit Xhaka
Oh.
to Chelsea.
Yes, yep.
Oh.
That's an interesting one because they had a deal rejected from Sunday, didn't they?
£8 million rejected.
I mean, me and you, Jack, spoke fair about this, and is he really worth much more than that?
No,
I'm just not sure.
10 million max. 10 million max, surely.
In his prime,
Yeah,
maybe.
how old is he now? 33? He should be older.
I think he might be
older.
In his prime, maybe, yeah, but now he's like...
mate, he is in his prime. This is the best he's ever performed. He's a brilliant leader. He's old. But you should get away with that in centre midfield. You can be kind of a dictator in midfield. And
I mean, I think
he's done
for
well
Chelsea,
for Sunderland.
Yeah, I think for Chelsea it'd be good around the young players that we have. I think. Yeah. I think he will be good purely because Chelsea are trying to not build a young team, but we do have a lot of youngsters coming to the team. Some of his experience, everyone would be able to learn from him. So I think
the experience is massive,
especially from him. I would say he's an exceptional player. Probably not as good as he was, but he's still, for his age, he's still really good.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see because there's talks of Enzo Fernandez going. No, that would be extremely interesting. Yeah,
can't leave. He's too
Real
good.
Madrid want him, and again, I think he's class, and
he is.
They want European football.
Yeah,
Chelsea can't offer this season.
Yeah, they can't.
I mean,
everyone wants to play in Europe, the best players. So, Xabi Alonso better do some persuading here.
Yeah, Enzo isn't getting any younger. He's 25 years old. He's doing really well for Argentina in the World Cup. And he's coming off the back of a season playing midfield and getting 26 goal involvements in 61 games for Chelsea. 61 appearances in all competitions. That is an outrageous figure. And he's a good player, but if Chelsea do not get Champions League football this season, he is out of here.
I do think he's gone. I think
do you think so?
Persuasion of, I think because we haven't got European football, and that persuasion, if someone does come in with European football, I think he'll just go. You can't blame him for wanting to go, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Real Madrid have got a midfield two of Valverde and Bellingham, and I just don't know where he fits in.
Yeah, obviously they were the team that was spoken about, but I think any team that comes in that's a big profile in Europe, and a team that's got that Champions League football, I don't think he's going to look back, to be honest.
I think he'd be quite suited to an Atletico Madrid, but I think he deserves a better club.
Yeah, I do too. He's class. He is a great midfielder.
Yeah,
one of the better ones in the world.
Two Arsenal signings that I wanted to highlight. Hincapié has been confirmed. I'll be honest, I didn't know he was not confirmed. I thought it was a permanent signing earlier last season, but apparently it has now been confirmed that he is an Arsenal player. Coming off that season, he's won 2 league titles in a row. One with Bayer Leverkusen where they were unbeaten, and now with Arsenal. He's loving life. He's loving life. He's a league winner. He's a player. He can play centre back. He can play left back. He's quite adventurous going forward. He is brilliant. And the second one is a bit of a rumour, and I think Newcastle rejected it, which is a little bit of a clue. But Guimarães, I don't know how to say it, the centre midfielder from Brazil who's just played earlier today. Brilliant player. There was rumours of him going to Arsenal. Joe? I think you said earlier.
Yeah, there was. I'm pretty sure it's him. I didn't Arsenal put in a deal for him, and it was rejected. And basically,
£55
Newcastle
million,
saying,
I believe it was.
he ain't for sale, and I can't blame him, to be honest, because it's just one of those things, really, isn't it? Like,
I
he's an absolute class player. Newcastle need him because he dictates the play from Newcastle. He's absolute class in that midfield, and he makes Newcastle the team they are because he does dictate it so much.
but it's similar to the Chelsea situation. Newcastle finished 12th. They do not have Champions League football, and I think a player of his quality deserves Champions League football. He
Can
did
agree
well.
more.
He did well when they were in the Champions League, and I can see him leaving because Jordan's left. It's not looking good for Newcastle for next season.
No, it's not. It's not. They struggle if they lose players like Bruno. They're going to struggle massively. They're not going to be a team fighting for Europe like they have been the last few seasons.
They've lost
There's
Isaac.
no doubt about that.
They've lost Isaac. They've lost Jordan. They need to hold on to these players if they're going to get another push for Europe next season.
Yep, couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. They need to hold these players or get good enough money that they can then go and buy someone of a decent profile.
Yeah.
He's even talked to Tonali going again. That's gonna be massive for them to be going.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah.
And they're two players who dictate the play massively.
Talking of dictating the play, thanks for transitioning perfectly over to our last signing and the biggest signing of currently the transfer window. Elliot Anderson, England's star boy, is confirmed going to Manchester City for £116 million. That'll be a Manchester City record, beating the Grealish transfer fee, and I think it's going to be the British transfer fee record for a British player. Do you think he's deserving of that £116 million transfer fee, Lozza?
No doubt about it. I think he's shown it even more in the World Cup.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, for England, he's just one of those players who, again, like I saw about Bruno Guimaraes, whatever his name is, and like he dictates play for Newcastle. He done that for Nottingham Forest this season really well, and he's shown that at an international stage of England. He hasn't played in the World Cup before, but it looks like he's had the experience. Like, he does look amazing.
Seeing him play for England, where we've been controlling the play, and we've talked in our last podcast and this podcast, and we've highlighted Elliot Anderson as being the player with getting the most touches, getting the most passes, breaking lines, driving on the ball, winning the ball back. In this Manchester City team, and I want to highlight as well, sitting next to Mr. Rodri, Mr. Ballon d'Or, that is going to be a terrifying prospect for teams to face. I expect Rodri to be that holding kind of midfielder who's going to sit in front of that back four, and I expect Elliot Anderson to be that player who is going to be driving that ball forward, being that next phase of play in front of Rodri. And I am immensely proud as an English person that we've got an English player who is breaking transfer records and playing for the best teams in the world.
Yep, couldn't agree more. I mean, obviously, on that note, Man City, they've announced Enzo Maresca as a new manager.
Yep, today.
Yeah. What's your take on that?
Well, it's been, I think everyone's known it's been coming. Enzo Maresca, it was confirmed a while ago. It's just all the paperwork's finally finalised now. Enzo Maresca, understudy to Pep Guardiola in Pep's earlier days. Of course, he went to Chelsea, and I don't think he deserved to get sacked, but it was the early days for Blueco, and they wanted to make a statement. I like Maresca. I like his style of football, and I think he will suit Manchester City style of play down to the ground, and I think he'll have some success. I can't wait to see Haaland. See what he does with Haaland, because Pep has improved Haaland, but I'll be very interested to see what Maresca does to Haaland. Whether he turns him into a different sort of player, whether they change their style of play, City style of play, to suit him a little bit more. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I was watching something that, where people aren't too sure about how he's going to come in, how he's going to play the team, but I do think it's just going to be something more, isn't it? It's not going to be Pep Guardiola. I think that's what Man City fans got to get their head round.
Something damn
But
near similar, though, isn't it?
yeah, he's had experience under him. He's won stuff with him. Now, bringing these extra players like Elliot Anderson, I do think that they are pushing next season for the Premier League title again. And that hurts to say as a Chelsea fan, but a bit emotional here.
Mate, I
They
want to.
they're going to be class, I think, next season.
It's easy to say that, isn't it? It's easy to say that because it's Manchester City we're talking about here, but I think there's something to think about with the Manchester United situation where they had Sir Alex Ferguson for so long, and then they get rid of him, and what happens? They collapse, and Pep Guardiola has recommended Enzo Maresca, much like Sir Alex Ferguson recommended David Moyes. And we know how that turned out. It's a very similar storyline, and there is potential for them, winning the league again. They've got a very good group of players, and there's also potential for it all falling apart. I don't know what we're going to see. I think it's easy to say they're going to do well, and I think they will do well. But what a storyline it would be if City fall apart, especially with all the 115 charges looming over the horizon. Poor Enzo
Yep.
taking over and having
cool
to
bloke.
potentially play championship football next season. Okay?
Couldn't agree more. Right. Well, I think that's time there. Our next podcast would obviously going to have plenty more time to talk about. Hopefully, there's some more interesting transfers that come up. But that's the final whistle for episode 3 on the Hat-Trick Extra Time. Obviously, the group stages are done. The knockouts are locked in. We've already seen some, teams get knocked out. South Africa yesterday and now Japan. And the stress is only going to get worse from here, especially for us England fans. Obviously, a massive shout out to everyone locking in with us every single week. Thank you for your support. If you survived Casey's and Jumka's tactical breakdown today, do us a massive favour. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. As always, we're live on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so drop us a review as well. Drop us some comments. We'd love to get you involved as well. Obviously, hopefully, when we next hit our podcast, England are actually going to be in round of 16, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, as always, hit that subscribe, drop the comments, keep the passion high, keep the debates loud, and as always, clean sheet, goal, hat trick.